following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to 50 Shades of Bullshit. I'm your host, Christine Lalonde, and this is the podcast where we uncover the truth about online dating. Now let's begin.
Woohoo! Welcome to the show. This is 50 Shades of Bullshit. And I'm Christine.
I'm Janice.
I'm Jada on mute, but I'm Jada.
Jada has some sound in the background that she's muting. So hi everyone. I'm so happy to see everybody this week. We had a big party at my house last Friday for the group of people that have been coming on the show as professionals for dating, and a bunch of people were able to make it. Some were not. Jada unfortunately couldn't make it, but
First of all, I just want to say I'm so jealous and had complete FOMO because I saw your pictures with all of your booze and it looked like a fucking good time and I wasn't there.
I know. We were singing karaoke and we were around the fire.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great time.
We might do it again. Christine, how are you feeling about making this a twice yearly thing?
Hey, we can do it 3 times a year, every 4 months.
It's a lot of work, but everyone sure does have fun, and such nice memories are being made. So I'm ready to go again in June or July.
We can do it whenever. We can have a girls' weekend too, and have Jada come out and Janice, and maybe we can meet somewhere else, like I don't know, New Orleans or Denver or something. I don't know. We'll do something fun.
For sure. Yeah, girls' night. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
It was wonderful spending the weekend with Christine. We had so much fun. We had Anthony Canopi there. We had Jackie Brubaker there. It was fantastic.
Barry. We have a couple of guests that are going to be coming on in the next couple of weeks to a month who are also there, and they're going to be coming on soon. So that's exciting. So how was everybody's week? Did anybody do anything exciting except for my and Janice's party?
No, I told you I'm dealing with my whole in my townhouse, the leak, 3 levels down, ceiling cut out, contractors in and out. So welcome to my life.
You've had a lot of pain recently with the car, and now
I know. What do you guys think that means? Hello, Christine, master manifester and empath. What does it mean for me?
You need to clear your space and clear yourself. I can teach you how to do it. I can teach you how to do it.
It's interesting that it's all happening at the end of the year. And so maybe these are things that you are meant to clear so that you can start 2023 fresh.
There you go. Hi, Salvatore. Thank you for joining our show today. Today's going to be a kinky day. We're so glad you're here. So I don't know what's going on with my light, but for some reason I'm almost in the dark. So, I'm really excited. Today's show is about Kink 101. And we all know, if anybody who knows me, I like it kinky. I like it kinky. So,
this is going to be such a blast. Can I say how we know today's guest?
Yes, please do.
Okay. I'm just going crazy right now because the woman who is in the green room ready to come on and get kinky with us is one of my best friends who I met in coaching school a few years ago, and her name is Jessie, and she's amazing. She's been on X-Files a few times. She's a lovely woman, very funny, very knowledgeable, very kind, great friend, and it's gonna be awesome. And she is joining us from New Zealand. How cool is that?
She is.
I love that.
So
when I met her in coaching school, we would all go around and say like what sort of niche we're interested in coaching. And so, of course I said breakups, and then I got to her and she's saying, oh, I'd like to coach people who are, interested in alternative lifestyles and non-monogamy. And I was like, friend, and like kind of targeted her and went after her to get to know. And 2 years later, one of my closest friends.
I love that. Well, Jessie's awesome. But I got to tell you that, I think that I used to be pretty vanilla. Because, I just grew up not really knowing anything about sex, not being really educated. Everything for me, when in the beginning of my sexual lifestyle, was all around violence. So, that was never really a good thing. And then as I really started to come into myself and relax and learn about, what was okay for me, I started learning about things that were a little bit more kinky, and it just is, it's eye-opening and it's exciting. And so, I talk for the last couple, like, I don't know, couple months now, I've been talking about how I've reconnected with somebody. And I think we had a fairly decent sex life when we were together before. Now I have to tell you the funniest thing. So I was at his place this last Sunday. Janice's friend Christopher, and her partner. I didn't know how to say it. Her partner,
Special friend.
her special friend. We all went down to see Christian and hang out. And I got to the house and I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. So I lay down on the bed and he comes in and he goes, oh, I have a really special surprise for you. And I was like, really? What? He goes, hold on. And he reaches behind the pillow and pulls out, and they were ropes that he had already tied and gotten ready. And he, for my, I was so excited.
Definitely into roping, so I really want to talk more about the rope kink because it's something that I love as well. That's awesome, Christine.
I want to talk about everything, and I hate that I have to be on mute because I have so much.
You don't. You know what, Jada? Your sound's not that bad right now. You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay.
So there's a lot of different things that I love with kink. There's lots of different things that is awesome. I can't wait to hear what Jessie has to say. So let's just let me do a quick little intro for Jessie. So, in human sexuality, okay, kinkiness is the use of non-conventional sexual practices, concepts, or fantasies. The term derives from the idea of bend, aka kink, in one's sexual behavior, to contrast such behavior with, say, like straight or vanilla sexual proclivities. It's a term for non-normative sexual behavior. Well, today, Jessie Maree is a coach from New Zealand. Jessie helps women reclaim and transform their love life, their self-love, pleasure, confidence, and sexual power. Woohoo! Let's bring on Jessie because this is going to get spicy.
Hello.
Oh, thank you. Jessie. So, Jessie, how did we decide that kinky was the way to go in your practice of helping people?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is. I like the way you put that, Christine.
Yeah, I've just been that person. I'm very open about stuff with my friends, and I've just been that person that has been people come to, people open up to, people tell me their stuff. My background is I'm also a portrait photographer. I work with women really around empowering them to like love who they are again and create such a space where it's opening up to those sorts of conversations as well. So I was like, yeah, COVID hit. I couldn't really shoot anyone. So I was like, why not just move that on to what I'm doing, but more coaching. And one of my friends years ago, actually, I think before I did my coaching with you, Janice, was like, you should be a kink consultant. Like, you know what you're talking about. You should. I was like, that's not a thing. It's just not a thing. It's not here in New Zealand anyway. And then I was like, oh, fuck it. let's do it. Let's jump in. That's what I'm passionate about. It's what I love. That and non-monogamy, like it's just my lifestyle. So I coach from experience, I suppose, as well as, yeah, just think it's amazing.
I love that. So have you been practicing kind of like, have you always been kind of a kinky bitch, or have you just like gone, oh my God, this is a new thing for me? Or what's going on in your life that
I've been a kinky bitch for about 9 years now. I fell into it. Is that the right? I had a couple of, and I've spoken about it on Janice's podcast when we did Kink 101, but really I knew I was working at a bar, like a dingy, like just pokies, just terrible bar. And a woman that came and drunk there regularly, she owned a swingers club in town and was friends with my sister because my sister was stripping at the time. And they were like, come along to this thing. And I was like, well, okay. And I'd always sort of known I was kinky, like someone, I can't remember who, got me fluffy handcuffs for my 18th birthday. So like, you know, it's always been there. And then I went to this event and it was what's called a slave auction. And it's one of the biggest ones we have in Auckland, biggest events, should I say. And I was in jeans and a t-shirt and everyone else is in all sorts of BDSM array.
She always homes in on this.
It's because I looked like I just walked off the street, Janice. I love so that. Normal, like,
and everybody else is in like what,
black leather, like states of undress,
corsets,
like,
and
yeah. And this place was packed because it was down a flight of stairs, and it was a proper swingers club at the time, so it had like a spa pool area and like showers and stuff. It was great. And I just remember walking in and it was packed because, like I said, busiest event we had at the time. And I was just like, what the fuck have I got myself into? This big tall man, like big bald tall man at the front of when this auction starts. He's a really good friend of mine now. And he's like auctioning off these people. So like they'd written on this piece of paper what their Fet Life name was, what they were willing to go up for auction for. And obviously it wasn't for real money because that shit's illegal, but like,
right.
You know, for fun. And it was just like, it was bizarre. And it was like, I loved it though. It was like, these are my people. We're like, yes. And I think that's the first time I experienced shibari as well, actually.
Tell us what that is.
A little bit about that.
Shibari is rope. Yeah. It's the Japanese
rope.
art of bondage.
Yes. Okay, so you've said a couple of things that I would love to tap into and talk about really quick because, you know, our average Joe isn't going to know what we're talking about. You mentioned Fet Life, and that actually is a website where you can go on and post pictures of yourself in normal attire or different body parts or whatever you feel comfortable with. A lot of people feel very comfortable with some
with
things.
Their penises as their profile photos, and I'm like, guys, it's not attractive. Please stop.
Rock out with your cock out, you know.
Yeah, it really is. It's yeah.
It's a choice. It's definitely a choice.
It's kind of a dating site for sex and sexual proclivity. And, you know, even if you like, I could talk to somebody across the world and we could maybe video chat and be all like sexy together or send messages. And then some people actually meet up and not so much date, but do their thing, their kinky thing.
Play.
They
otherwise
play.
known as, yeah.
So that's really a fun website. Yes, I know lots about it.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned
that. What are you looking for, Christine?
Well, you know, I like a dominant man to take control and to know what he's doing in the bedroom and feel comfortable using me as his, you know, AKA slave kind of thing, with, you know, bondage or toys and stuff like that. You know, it's just like all that, you know, fun stuff. And then you also mentioned sex clubs. Well, no, actually, you said swingers clubs, but there are actually swingers clubs, sex clubs. There's
So that's often where, like, I don't know about overseas, but in New Zealand, we don't have a lot of spaces for these like kink events, so they're often held at swingers clubs.
Yes.
The one that I just spoke about is no longer there. It no longer exists. They sold. One that I go to still is still around. And then there's another swingers club that just predominantly is swingers and sex parties rather than kink.
Kink. Yeah. I find with these type of clubs that it's really about whatever you want. It can be kinky, it can be sexual, it can be partners switching, partners being together with other people. You don't even have to be there with the partner. So I've actually seen where partners control one over the other and they just have fun, they play. And I think the first time I ever went to one, I was just dating a guy. We weren't serious. We were just dating. And he asked me if I'd like to go. And I was like, yes. and so I went and I literally hid behind him all night, just peeking around his shoulder and just peeking and going, oh my God. And then after a while, I was like, these are just people enjoying their life and enjoying their bodies and their sexuality. And actually, it just was no big deal.
It's been the best place I've seen for bodies of all shapes and sizes and colors and ethnicities and just whatever come together, and people just don't give a shit. Like, as long as you're being ethical, as long as you're being consensual and communicating everything, you can dress however you fucking want and no one cares. There's no judgment, no nothing.
I was going to say acceptance, huge acceptance. And, quite frankly, I actually know quite a few people that run houses or parties, as some would say. And, they're just normal, everyday people like you and I, and they have parties at their house like we do, except for some people take their clothes off and some people don't. And some people have sex and some people don't. And who cares? But I found that when I would go and see these places, 90% of the time, half the people we all just sat around and talked and chatted and got to know each other and had drinks and went out and sat in the hot tub or didn't sit in the hot tub or whatever. Watched a few people have sex and a few people watched others. I mean,
I think one of the really cool things about sex parties is that there's the potential for it and the opportunity for it, and that is just kind of sexy. And I have been to many. I was very incorporated into the scene when I was in Melbourne, and it's not everybody just everywhere having sex. It is just a lot of people hanging around and chatting, but the fact that there's the potential for that to happen creates this really juicy, magical vibe.
Is sexy. It is really fucking sexy. Anyway, so let's talk more about kink. let's talk about how do I word this? It's kind of like, what kind of things do people think are kinky? What's the misconception about kink?
Oh, that we're all a bunch of weirdos. But we are, but like bad weird. Like
we're good weird.
We are good weird, but the misconception is that we're just a bunch of weird, like antisocial kind of people who don't want to know us. I'm just your normal I'm weird. But like I know people who work in corporate and are normal everyday human beings that just get on and they like their sex a little bit different. Yeah. And I think that people with parties, I think the biggest misconception really is that it's this big fuck fest and that everyone is playing and everyone's doing stuff, when really it's just a catch up. I go and I'm like, oh yeah, I could play, but I could just talk to my friends. Or people I haven't seen in a while and maybe watch someone do something.
Yeah, normally there's, in my experience, there's an area that's kind of designated as the free-for-all area, and then otherwise, it would have to be fully consensual as far as who watches and who doesn't, and who does something in front of you. But often there's something, a space where it's the go nuts space.
There's also areas where they have prop type things, and people can kind of put on a little show where they're either playing with feathers or little whips, or they tie you up, or or even just touch you, just like. And I'm not talking sexually; I'm just talking sensually, and it's really amazing. I love to see just people connecting and feeling good about who they are and really coming together with people who understand them. And
Yeah.
I, you know, yeah. So
Ooh.
Well, where are these parties? Because I have yet to discover them. So
These
fill
two
me
are gonna have to
in.
fill
What's
you in because
happening
I'm like
around the world?
wrong side of the world for you. But come to New Zealand, I can show you.
Well,
You know
how
what?
would you suggest
come to
getting
LA.
On my
with
bucket
Jessie?
list. Oh, LA, I'm there.
Yeah. So Janice just asked how would you get started in something like this?
Go to a munch. I don't know if they're called that over there, but I'm pretty sure like I thought it was a general term because I follow people on Instagram who are obviously overseas and in the kink community. A munch, MUNCH, is just a group catch up. So we run them, I think there's a bunch of different groups that run different ones, but like at least once a month. And you can go along. It's at usually at a bar. So you're vanilla dressed. You're not doing anything kinky. You're literally going there to meet other people that are into the lifestyle.
So I very much think that we would say either happy hour or mixer.
See,
Yeah.
happy hour
this
here
chick
is like
on
when
the
drinks
episode,
are on.
She says munch. I'm like, wait, what the hell what are you talking about?
Munch?
A
No.
munch. It's called a munch.
She
That's
said
what. Well,
something
it's what it's called here.
So okay, just really quickly. So yesterday, Jessie and I were talking, and what did you say?
I said it's a shit show.
No,
Yeah.
no.
you
No,
said
one
you
was
lost
like
the show.
I'm like, hold on, I'm bringing up the message because now I'm like forgetting. I think they said something along the lines of like, I'm
What did
like
you
I'm
say?
all over the show, like it's a shit show. Was it?
Yeah, you said I'm all over the show, and I
Yeah.
said,
Oh, I'm all over the show. It's a
I'm
shit
thinking
show.
maybe like she's all over like coming on this show. So I'm like,
No.
whoa, what?
No,
Like-
no. Have you guys never heard that? It's so bizarre to me.
Say that again. What's it?
It's
What
like
did you say?
so I'm all over the show. So like just running around like a headless chicken.
Oh, we say we're all over the place.
Oh, say over the show or it's a shit show because it's all gone to fuck. Yeah.
Shit show. Yeah, I
It's a
say
shit
shit show.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah.
So let's see. One of my friends, her name is Dawn. She's asking a question in the back. She says, "What's the bevy?" Dawn, what are you asking? Because if you want to know some kinky shit, we'll talk about it. What's the bevy? Tell us what that means. So Jada, I'm sure you've heard of swing clubs or sex
Oh,
clubs
of course.
or things like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've just never had the opportunity?
No.
What's the beverage? Janice was drinking something. She wants to know what you're drinking.
I'm enjoying some bullet bourbon tonight.
Bullet bourbon.
She loves a good bourbon.
Yeah, she does.
I can appreciate that.
I'm boring.
Last week I was at Christopher's place and I had like the fancy stuff. This is
Ooh.
So Jada, I have to ask Jada this because Jada's our virgin kink girl. Is there kinky shit you do in the bedroom, or have you just never really? Have you always been kind of like just the norm?
I don't know what the definition of kinky shit is because I feel like I'm a complete pack. Like, listen, it's a show. But I don't know that translates into kink. I don't know. So that's why I'm so excited about this because I've never been with swingers parties. Although I know it's a thing, and I've had men that I've dated and been with that have said, I would love to see you with another woman, or I would love to see this. And I'm like,
Just eye roll, sorry.
Yeah. Men
So
like
this
to
is
see
not
a
at
lot
you,
of things.
but at the man, like for just being sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So no.
So Jessie, tell us. Let's lay out some of the kinky stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, anything other than but what's normal. So missionary can be considered kink. A threesome can be considered kink. To me, that's very vanilla though. Like a threesome's kind of like okay. You should ask him that. Sorry, my cat's coming in the window.
That's hilarious. I think men, woman, 2 women, 1 man is
it's a standard. You should ask these men if that. Yeah, be like, totally into a threesome if it's another dude.
Another dude.
And then they're like, no, that's not what I was down for.
Yeah.
But
I'm down for
have you ever been spanked in the bedroom, like a little, tap on the ass? That's considered kinky. Like dirty talk
Jada,
can be
do
considered.
they spank
kinky.
you?
Oh, you're on mute, Jada.
You're muted, Jade. Jada, you're muted.
Just leave the
Is
mute off, girl.
You
Consider
can leave it.
like there's
Spanking.
like anal spanking. Like what's
Anal can be considered kinky. I consider it normal, but that's because I am an anal whore.
Janice?
I'm just outing myself here to people I don't know and possibly people I do know.
Right. It doesn't matter. So, okay, for me, let's think about kinky. Beyond a vibrator toy for me.
It's normal.
But for
Everyone,
for
if
normal
a man
people,
you should, yeah, I know. I understand. I understand that. But
Okay,
I feel like if someone says to you in the bedroom that they don't want you to have toys, that's a red flag. Because like
that is a red flag. So
bit of an-
let's talk what is kinky for you then, Jessie. Not so much what you like, but what is kinky beyond the norm? Because spanking can be norm, anal can be norm, toys can be norm, but things like what, tying up and role playing and dressing up, things like that.
Yeah. Dress role play is a huge kink thing. Like, I mean, it can be considered. I mean, I suppose it depends on you ask, right? Anything can be considered normal, but like anything outside of the norm. So role play, shibari. Shibari is definitely one I would consider because you have to learn how to tie properly. Same with impact play. So spanking, using implements, all that kind of stuff. You can do damage to people's bodies. The thing with kink is a lot of it is dangerous. So I think that's the biggest difference with kink is you can cause harm to someone else. And a lot of the stuff is, I think our law recently changed around asphyxiation because you could be convicted for that. Obviously, because we have a lot of domestic violence in New Zealand. So that's why. But again, that's why there's risk. Like you've got to be aware of the risk. So there's I use RAC, which is risk aware consensual kink. So you know that there's a risk. You know that something could happen. Like with shibari and rope tying, if you fuck it up, you could lose feeling in your arm, or you know, or movement, or get paralyzed. If you're playing with things like knives, you can cut the skin. You can burn someone with candle wax. Like there's always a risk to that element.
Candle wax.
Yeah. You want to be very
nipple clamps, things like that.
Yeah. So it's just things that I think there's a little bit more risk to than just your everyday sex. And I think anal is considered kinky when it's woman and man. Like, because I mean, that's gay have been having butt sex for forever, so it's normal, right? Like I wouldn't consider that kinky. But there are things like hog tying with an anal hook. That would then pass into kinky.
What's an anal hook?
You don't know what an anal hook is? Oh my god, girl. It's a metal hook.
I'm into some anal stuff, but anal hook? All right.
I need to know.
I don't have mine here.
I just have to unmute for that. What is that?
So an anal hook is like, it's a metal hook. So it looks like a fishing hook, right? But it's large, and it has like a bulb on the end of it. So it goes into the anus and it hooks up. So you can like then attach rope to it or chain to it. And you could do all sorts of kind of things like hog tie. You could attach it to a collar and do some predicament play with it. But yeah, so basically it goes into the anus and hooks in.
Would you say like beads or anal beads or things like that, or I guess you could use them in your vagina as well, but those kind of things.
Again, it really depends on I
think it depends on what you consider normal and what your experience is. I mean, for me, I don't own anal beads, and so I would think that would be getting a little kinky for me. I would love it.
Yeah, totally, and it is.
That would be edging, leaning into my.
Yeah. And like a little bit of spanking in the bedroom is considered kinky, right? Like even dirty talk's considered kinky. Like calling someone a slut in the bedroom, which we know Janice loves.
Dirty talk.
Little princess that she is.
Yeah, I think men. I find that men tend to want to call you a whore or dirty slut or, shit like that. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but
Nah.
it doesn't bother me. But it's not something that makes me go, oh, babies, put in the anal hook.
And for some people it does, right? Like,
Right.
I'm not a big dirty talk person. Like, it kind of pulls me out of my head sometimes. I gotta be in a real good space for dirty talk. Otherwise, I'm like, could you shut the fuck up, please? Like, you're putting me off my game here. Like,
So then would you say that if you were to lean into the dirty talk, that would be you being more kinky because it's something that you don't normally
not.
do? Or
well, it is
You know what I'm
kinky,
saying?
so yes, like inherently it's not normal, right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I can see that. I'm trying to think of other things.
I can
Well, I
list
also
them off.
want to say, as far as the dirty talk goes, if you're not so sure about some of your kinks, you can dirty talk the kink, and you could talk it out and kind of see how that goes with your
Yeah, like
partner and
create a
see how
fantasy around it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
See if it lights a fire.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how, I suppose that's how you get into it, right? Is like, you've just got to have discussions with your partner, or if you're not in a relationship, with the person that you're, having fun with. And again, it's all about communication. So, hey, have you ever thought about this? Or like, what do you feel about? And if you don't know what they are, like, you're not going to lead in with like, hey, how about some anal hooking?
Right.
I mean, you might like try that next time you see Christopher.
Well, see, this is the thing for me, okay? I think that kink and any kind of out of the box kind of thing can be really exciting and fun and adventurous and safe with somebody that you're comfortable with.
Yes.
Somebody that you feel safe and they're not going to hurt you or try to hurt you or respect your boundaries or stop when you want to say fucking stop.
It's
But
so important.
you have to be very careful when it's somebody new or a stranger, because it can get quite hairy and dangerous. Now, I'm going to tell a quick story. I went on a second date with somebody. He invited me back to a pizza and movie with him. I went back to his place. We were watching a movie. We were having pizza, and we started fooling around. And he lived in a studio, so we were watching TV on his bed. And when we were fooling around, obviously we were on the bed. And he said, "Hey, do you like tying up?" I go, yeah, when it's right moment, because a lot of people ask to see, but he wasn't asking for the future. He was asking for that motherfucking moment. And he reached under and pulled out between the bed, and he had me down. He was massaging me. I remember now. He was massaging me, and he had both of my arms in restraints and my legs in restraints before I could breathe, before I could count to 2. It was boom, boom. And I was freaking out. And look, I love that if my partner was doing that to me, or my boyfriend, or somebody I'm spending more time with, fine. But a complete stranger that asks you that quickly and then does it, I was panicking. I was like, let me up now.
Yeah, because he hasn't spoken to you about that. You shouldn't negotiate whilst playing.
Yes.
Or in the middle of like some sort of sexual activity. You getting a massage has already the engagement that you've agreed upon. You don't then change that and be like, hey, how do you feel about rope? And then chuck you in it. He doesn't know if you have trauma around that.
Right.
That could have, you could have had, it's just, there's many things there.
Talked about when you came on X-Files is that when you're talking about kink with your partner, things should be negotiated ahead of time, because when you're in the moment and turned on, you're technically in a bit of a compromised state or a different type of awareness. And so you'd be more likely to say perhaps yes to something that you hadn't thought of when you were more clear-headed.
Yeah. What about swings?
I have one thing that I want to add to that, Janice.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, it's a question. So if you're new in a relationship and you feel that this could be your person, but you're like just diving into that first time of intimacy, at what point, like how soon is too soon to say, you know what, like I've got this anal hook in my purse, so let's go ahead and See where this goes.
I think it's before you get intimate.
Yeah,
I think it's long before you get intimate. It start talking about the things that.
Hopefully
What do you
you've been
think, Jen?
talking about the thing. I would say hopefully if you're thinking that this person is the person, aside from the fact that I'm polyamorous, so the person's not the person. If you're thinking about that, you should be having these conversations regularly anyway. You know, like it's
Thanks,
sexy
Mel.
to talk about it. Like talk about what you're into beforehand. Be like, you know, not like, I mean, you could do it over coffee if you want to. Just be careful who's around and who's listening into your conversations, because sometimes the shit I say out loud, I'm like, oh, I hope there's no children around.
Me too. I don't care. Children, yes, but
yeah, I'm just
other
concerned.
adults-
I kind of watch what I say around children because they can't consent. There was actually a big lawsuit thing happen here around that. Like these people were having sex, polyamorous couples. So I gave polyamory a really bad name. Were having sex in the living room, and they had one of their children making sure that the other children wouldn't wake up and stuff. So they pretty much were having sex in front of this child who was underage. So that's not okay. That crosses a boundary for me.
Absolutely bizarre.
But if you have your anal hook, I mean, you could bring it out and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Not, I'm gonna
anal hook as an example.
yeah. But like, if you're into
age, like some people feel, and I deal with this with clients, some people feel that if they're, 50s, 60s, like when can you be kinky then if you haven't been kinky in the past?
Fuck yes.
Thank you.
Today's a great day to be kinky.
Has anyone watched How to Build a Sex Room?
What's it called?
Yes, I did.
My god, watch it! It's fucking amazing.
Say it again for our listeners.
How to Build a Sex Room. It's on Netflix.
There you go.
Netflix.
It's amazing. This is interior designer, and she goes around to all these different couples and partners and stuff and builds them sex rooms, asks them what they're into, what they like, and then she also introduces them. So she has a bag of goodies, right? And she's like, what do you think about this? And if they don't know what it is, they ask. And I really appreciate on the show that she explains it respectfully. And there's yes, there's innuendos and stuff with her builder, and it's hilarious to watch. But like with people who don't know, she's really informative, and it's a nice conversation to have. So maybe you're looking to spice up your sex life a little bit, and you're like, okay, what about a vibrator? What about a flogger or a paddle or a, just like, what are you into? Do you like sensation? So like feathers, ice, touch, food. It's very important. Food. Very important also to talk about what you're not into, like, and if there's any boundaries. Like some people won't be blindfolded because they've got a trauma around not being able to see what's going on. Yeah. Whereas I love being blindfolded. I think it's great. Like take away my sensation, right? Like take away that sense, because then
hard no from me.
See, if I thought about this, I should have brought all my stuff in.
Bro, I've got mine. I can go grab mine right now. It's in my wardrobe.
Right? I should have brought my stuff.
Actually shopping for some kinky things for Christmas for someone right now.
Oh,
I hope it's me, Janice. Just kidding.
For me to be used on me.
My partner and I actually talked about how we want our next big ticket item for us is the swing.
Oh yes,
I've never done that.
I've never done that. I've like sat in one for fun because my friend had one, just hanging in her room. But I've never had sex on a sex swing, so I really want to.
Well, outside of LA on the 15, heading towards Vegas. It's not quite to Vegas. It's still towards LA. There is a really incredible club out there that you can call it a sex club, but it's a nightclub, and it's got 2 different dance floor areas where you just balls to the wall dance, and they have food and they have a bar. You bring your own bar stuff and the bartenders serve you your own stuff. And it's got an outdoor area that you can hang out and play pool or just sit by a fire, take pictures in front of the green screen with, like backdrops. But there's lots of different sex rooms. There's the bondage room. There's the big sex room. There's private rooms, but yet not private because people can still watch you, but it feels private. And then
that's an interesting one.
Voyeurism. I'm very voyeuristic. That's my big thing. But there's also a swing, and oh my God.
Yes.
It's hot. It's hot. It's very,
Crazy. You
very
out
hot.
kinked us, Christine. Even Jessie hasn't.
I haven't been on it.
I'm the girl next door who's fucking
Oh.
wild.
Wild, yeah.
I want to ask a question though, because I do definitely love this girl talk so much, but because Jessie is a coach and is very focused also on self-love in addition to these things, I'm wondering if you can say something about the transformative nature of leaning into your kinks.
Yeah, that's good.
It's magic. It's just so magic. I think, like, if it's something you're into, it's a way of exploring and I guess accepting more parts of you that you may not have been okay with accepting. I know with my ex-partner, he loves anal, but before that he thought he was a weirdo and he never wanted to do it with anyone, and he was like, he had a whole lot of stuff around it, right? And I pretty much was like, okay, well, let's do this, and I made it very normal for him. I don't know where we lost her. Oh.
Well,
Bye, Christine. I'm going to continue because I'm sure the people will like to hear it. But it's, you know, like you work through it, and now he feels great. He's like, I didn't know that I could. I didn't know that this was a thing that I could enjoy so much and not feel bad and not feel guilty and not feel like I'm forcing on other people. And yeah, so it can be amazing. Like I found myself in rope and particularly shibari, like and suspension and stuff. But I also love a good impact session to get out of my head. And it doesn't have to be sexual all the time. I think that's another myth or another preconception is that anything kinky, it means sex. It doesn't. It doesn't have to end in sex.
I agree. I think that that it gives you permission to just be okay with who you are.
Yep.
And there's literally, I just, for me, I almost feel like I don't want it to have its own word. Like I don't want kink to have this its own word, because sex is sex, and it's kind of like people are people for me. It's like I don't care. So somebody has a different kind of hair or different kind of skin or different kind of eyes or body shape. To me, it's the same way with sex. You like what you like, and it's okay. Like the first time I ever went to a sex store, I was freaking out because I was thinking that people were judging me and looking at me. But then it doesn't, you know, I even went to a sex store by myself one time. I was like, okay, so in the beginning, when I first started experimenting with anal sex, I had to have what was called, it's a butt numbing cream. Anal, it's called Anal Ease. And I had to have it because I was like,
you'll sort of be careful with that though, because that can cause problems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now I don't.
Yeah.
But
yeah, creams like that are great, but also use them sparingly because you want to be able to have that sensation to know when it's a just bad pain. Yeah,
just a little.
Yeah, just a little ease the pain. People use
from
Rush
the beginning
as well.
Yeah,
Rush is. I mean, I think they just got made illegal here also. Yeah.
Now I just get high and then I'm fine. But
mate, it takes me no time at all. I don't even need to get high. I'm like,
why not? Yeah.
You know, but for me, being able to go into a sex store by myself was so exhilarating, so freeing. And I was like, I can go pick up anything I want, and this guy at the counter, this girl at the counter is not going to judge me. They were even like wanting to help me, and I was like, ooh, well, what do you suggest? What's different? What's exciting? What's, you know, what can I have that you know, I can introduce with my partner, and they be all like, yes, what do men like, you know? And it was really fun. And I think that you know, just accepting that there are other ways to be sexually with yourself and with partners. That's okay. It doesn't matter if it's different or not accepted by somebody else. It doesn't matter.
No. What is the saying? And not your kink of something around like not being your kink, but it doesn't, like, it's we have a term for it.
Strokes for different folks, baby.
That essentially, and like again, if you're into it and I'm not, cool, go and have fun.
Well, when I was on the dating sites, just the normal everyday dating site, not even FET, this guy asked me if I was kinky, and I said, well, what is your kinky? Because my kinky could be different. And he said, okay. So he started telling me, he said he wanted to wear the heels, the fishnet stockings, and he wanted me to be with the dog leash and the chain, and the master, and but then he wanted to be the one that was how do I say this, used a thing on, I don't know how to say it. He wanted me to fuck him with a strap on.
Strap on.
And yeah, and at the time I was like, no, sorry, it's not my thing. And he goes, oh, thank you for not judging me. And I said, no, I'm sure you'll find a girl that will absolutely love to do that. It's just not my thing. It wouldn't turn me on, and it wouldn't be my interest. But then, sometimes things change. Sometimes I'm open to different stuff. If my significant other wanted me to do things to him that I've never done before, I would. I don't care. I don't care now, because I'm like, whatever makes you happy, what floats your boat. As my partner floats mine.
I think when you're in a relationship, it's nice to be able to like do that. I did that in a past relationship. I had he was like, I kind of want to try some anal stuff, and I was like, okay, we'll start with a finger and explore that. Does it turn me on? Not necessarily, but it turns me on that he's turned on.
Right.
And but if there's no match in libido, like in kink in the beginning at all, there's no judgment. I like men like that. They're amazing, and good on them for being able to express that to you, a complete stranger, and not be judged.
Yeah,
because often that's why it's hidden, because people will get judged.
Yeah, I think it's sad. I had a guy tell me a couple of years ago, Christine, if you ever want a guy to fall in love with you, just lick his ass. And
I would say that's a lie, but it's probably not.
I was like, I'm not really into that. And so I made a joke about it to my boyfriend, and he's like, good thing I love you anyway, Christine. You do not have to do that. Okay. And I was like, thank you.
I'm not into that, eh?
What about balls?
What about what?
Balls.
Lick the balls?
Yeah.
Well, I'll lick everything but the asshole.
Yeah, I'm not touching the asshole with my mouth. I'm really sorry. It's not my thing. Yeah. If you want to rim me, though, go for gold. Like, whatever. Yeah. I'm supportive of that, but this is not going near your butthole. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Balls?
No judgment, though. Like, go find someone who will. Happily.
Right.
Will instigate that for you, but don't ask me to do it, because it's just not my thing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% with you. Like, when it comes to like threesomes, if a girl wants to do shit to me, I'm not so prone on wanting to do that with her. But, two men, hello. That shit is right up my alley. But anyway, so tell us, Jessie, before we run out of time, because we're about out of time, tell us really quick, how can people learn more about this and feel safe in their own homes to learn more about this? Where can they go, or what can they do?
Well, they can jump on my website if they want. I've got like a free kink checklist. You don't even have to put in an email or anything. I just give that around because you can get anywhere. My website's jessiemaree.com. So it's JESSIEMAREE.com. And if you just go to the resources, it's called the kink checklist, and it gives you a list of everything. And you can just go through that with your partner.
That's great. I love that.
And it gives you a starting point. If you don't know what things are, Google it. Or you can message me. I'm usually happy to answer some quick questions around stuff. But Google's your best friend. Put it on safe mode, though.
Yeah.
Don't do it at work. Don't recommend that.
Yep. And then recently you were on Janice's podcast.
Yes.
So you can go check it out also on Janice's podcast. Janice, can you plug that really quick before we go?
Yes. So we did an episode a month and a half ago or so called Let's Get Kinky. And that's on X-Files podcast. That's X and then files with a PH. And it was very recently. So please go to X Files Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, scroll down a little bit and you'll find Let's Get Kinky. And it was Jess and I talking about our experience with kink and very specifically how to get into it and what the different types of kinks are and how to find out what yours are, and then how to talk about it with your partner and how to talk about it with someone who's not your partner.
Yeah. Awesome. And then Jada, you're ready to get started, right?
I'm like, this, I'm all in.
There we go. I'll what's your address? I'll send you an anal hook. I'm kidding.
We'll talk offline.
Well, Jessie, thank you for being here. I cannot believe how fast time flies when we're cracking up and having a good time.
This each week, just talking about
let's just talk about sex every week.
I'm here for it.
Me
Watch
too.
Space, guys.
Let's actually have you come back and we will we will talk more about, sex stuff, because that's fun. So Jada and Janice, thanks for being my co-host. Jessie, we love you. We can't wait to have you back. I'll have you back in the new year. And everyone who comes to listen and all of you who made comments today, thank you for always being here. Truly appreciate it. And until next week, same time, same place, let's just keep it real.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends, like and follow us on Instagram at 50 Shades of _bullshit and Facebook at 50 Shades of Bullshit. Thanks so much for listening, and we really